The entire capital whispered that my sworn enemy, the crown prince, and I were truly a match made in heaven. On the day of the imperial decree, I knelt before His Majesty, kowtowing frantically. Uncle William. Even if every man in the world turned into a devoted hound, I would never fall for Prince Adrian. Adrian followed suit. Father Emperor, rather than marry her, I would sooner take monastic vows. Yet, when I awakened, I found myself 5 years hence. It seemed I had not only wed this scoundrel, but borne him 2 children as well. The air carried the pleasant fragrance of sandalwood. When I stirred to consciousness, my throat felt raw with a metallic sweetness, accompanied by an overwhelming thirst. As I lay puzzled, gentle yet efficient hands reached over to wipe my face. These hands were uncommonly cold, and the moment they touched my chin, I shivered and forced my eyes open with considerable effort. Oh, blessed be the saints! Her Majesty has finally awakened. Quickly, summon Physician James and Physician Martin from outside. Violet, bring the ginseng broth at once. Rose, the Queen has regained consciousness. Send word to His Majesty immediately. I heard numerous footsteps and voices responding throughout the chamber, though everything remained somewhat hazy. I couldn't comprehend my circumstances. How had I awakened from my bedchamber in the general's manor to find myself in Harmony Palace? Moreover, I was surrounded by a circle of palace maids, their faces etched with worry and anxiety. As I lay bewildered, a young eunuch hurried forward and knelt beside me. Your Majesty the Empress, His Imperial Majesty approaches. Only 2 words formed on my face: confusion. I the Empress. Something was amiss. While I stood frozen in bewilderment, a figure in brilliant yellow dragon robes entered. The man was unmistakably Adrian. He seized my hand in one swift motion, dressed in imperial yellow adorned with embroidered dragons soaring over turbulent seas. His sword-like brows and starry eyes remained characteristically cold and aloof. His gaze held the same lack of warmth as always, his expression somewhat brooding. Good heavens! Who had orchestrated this elaborate jest? Did they not realize that Uncle William would have us severely punished if he discovered this charade? Furthermore, Adrian and I were sworn enemies. Convincing me I was the Empress was utterly preposterous. I regarded the man before me with displeasure, too annoyed to acknowledge him. I shook off his grip and lifted my chin defiantly. Adrian, you promised to visit Timothy and Rosalind with me, even if you wished to avoid my company. Jumping into the lotus pond was hardly necessary. The voice of this man carried a cold edge, his tone low and magnetic with a subtle rasp. This differed from Adrian's typically clear, bright voice, giving me a sensation both foreign and familiar. I studied the man before me more carefully, calling out uncertainly, Adrian, why do you call for me so? Perhaps you should simply take a blade and end my suffering. I cannot bear to witness you harm yourself repeatedly, all to escape from me. These days of mutual torment, I can endure them no longer. I had never beheld Adrian in such a state. As a crown prince, he had always been both proud and accomplished from childhood. This humble, pitiable posture and these vulnerable, fragile eyes were entirely foreign to me. Nevertheless, we had grown up together as childhood companions. Seeing him thus affected my spirits as well, yet after receiving his affirmation, my mind grew heated, convinced this was all an elaborate performance Adrian had orchestrated with others. I stated directly, "Are you truly so idle, collaborating with them in this farce? Who made any promises with you?" Upon hearing this, Adrian grew agitated. Timothy and Rosalind have fallen ill. I pondered briefly, certain these names held no place in my memory. These names bore a curious resemblance to those one might give to faithful hounds. When did you acquire other dogs behind your loyal companion's back, Seraphina? The man before me suddenly erupted in inexplicable fury. Observing the palace maids kneeling on the floor, trembling like quails. I found his reaction quite baffling. Have you taken leave of your senses tonight? This jest grows truly tiresome. Sensing something amiss about me, a palace maid who had kept her head lowered immediately grasped my hand. Your Majesty, perhaps when you accidentally fell into the lotus pond today, the water affected your consciousness, which remains somewhat unclear. Her words clearly sought to excuse my behavior. Yet upon hearing this, Adrian immediately summoned the imperial physicians to examine my mental state. Your prank has gone far enough. Uncle William will have your hide if he learns of this. Adrian remained silent, instead turning to the physician taking my pulse. How fares the Empress? The physician replied with lowered head. Her Majesty suffers no serious injury, though her head may have struck something during the fall, resulting in these symptoms of memory loss. Memory loss. Should you misdiagnose, I shall have your life. Hearing this threat, I quickly grasped Adrian's dragon robe sleeve, whispering urgently, Adrian, what madness has possessed you? This jest has gone too far. I had only just reached my 16th year, clearly. Uncle William's proposed betrothal had been refused just yesterday, yet after one night's sleep, I found myself inexplicably in Harmony Palace. My sworn enemy not only claimed my mind was afflicted, but enlisted a host of others to support this assertion. Should I not box his ears to restore his senses? Or rather, my boxing his ears plus Uncle William delivering a sound kick? How dare he suggest my mind was damaged, and furthermore, wear the dragon robes? Yet Adrian paid no heed to my words whatsoever. He fixed me with a steady gaze, his eyes betraying a hint of madness reminiscent of the wolf cub my brother had raised for me. His low voice carried traces of obsessive flavor. Though it was the 6th month of summer, I detected autumn's desolation in his words. Seraphina, have you truly forgotten, or are you merely pretending? I observed the pleading and longing in Adrian's eyes with some confusion. Ultimately, I could only sit upon the bed, patting his hand reassuringly while speaking with kind persuasion. Come now, are we not sworn enemies? Do not regard me with such ardent eyes. From the moment I finished speaking, Adrian stared at me without uttering a single word. Watching the palace maids and eunuchs continue kneeling created a rather awkward atmosphere. I could only poke his waist, his most vulnerable spot, which I always targeted during our childhood scuffles. Very well, wherever you wish me to accompany you, I shall go. Do not wear that expression as though you might shatter at any moment. It is most unsettling to behold. The moment I finished speaking, Adrian's dark eyes flashed with surprise. After dismissing the others, the palace maids dressed me in a golden gown embroidered with phoenixes, observing the yellow ancient patterned butterfly cloud skirt that swept the floor in graceful folds. Goodness, this was the Empress's ceremonial attire. Would she not be displeased with me for wearing such garments while accompanying Adrian in his charade? The maids draped me in gossamer thin peony mist gauze and arranged my hair in elaborate cloud-like coils, adorning me with the 5 phoenix sunrise pearl hairpin. Gazing at my reflection in the bronze mirror, I felt simultaneously familiar and estranged. Upon seeing me fully attired, Adrian stepped forward quickly to take my hand, leading me outside. The man's large hand was dry and warm, clasping mine firmly within his palm. I was, after all, still a maiden. I felt my cheeks grow somewhat warm, my heart beating erratically within my chest. This momentary loss of control made me want to shake off his hand. Yet he soon brought me to Petal Palace, where I had occasionally resided during palace visits. Through the bed curtains, a young girl lay upon the couch. Adrian seemed much calmer now. Though he had not released my hand, his tone remained distant and cool. Rosalind will be delighted to see you when she awakens. I neither agreed nor disagreed. After all, who would not be cheered by my presence? Simultaneously, I sensed someone slowly approaching from behind. I turned immediately, causing the small boy to freeze instantly. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, regarding me with proud aloofness. Those large, watery eyes gazed at me with such earnest blinking. Oh, my heart might melt. I couldn't resist bending down to pinch his soft little cheek. My word, Adrian. He is the very image of your childhood self, that same proud, foolish expression, as if carved from the same mold. Though he appears far more adorable than you ever were. This child resembles you so remarkably. Is he your long-lost younger brother, or perhaps your natural son? I spoke as though discovering a new world, preparing to seek confirmation from Adrian. Instead, I turned to meet Adrian's gaze, which regarded me as one might view a simpleton. He is your child. Upon hearing these words, I stood as though struck by lightning, staring blankly ahead. Suddenly the small boy embraced my legs. Does mother truly no longer want Timothy? At these words, I looked between the small boy before me and the little girl upon the bed. The girl resembled me perfectly as a child. Were these truly my children? Upon realizing this truth, my hands and feet turned ice cold, and I fainted directly. When I next awakened, dawn had broken. I was roused not by ideals, but by the gentle ministrations of the palace maid Rose. Your Majesty, it is time to rise. His Majesty will join you for the morning meal after court concludes. My first instinct was to survey my surroundings, quickly falling into contemplative silence. I remained in Harmony Palace, formerly the residence of Adrian's mother, the previous empress. Yet now I lay here, hearing Rose's voice while feeling disinclined to rise. Staring blankly at the carved ceiling above, when Adrian entered, I couldn't help but throw myself into his arms, sobbing loudly. Woe is me, Adrian. How have I aged 5 entire years in one night's sleep? 5 whole years. Adrian, though we have been sworn enemies since childhood, considering we have fought so often, we have developed a peculiar friendship. Let us now sign a truce agreement. Adrian held me, his expression complex. It appears you truly struck your head when you fell into the lotus pond. Hearing him question my mental faculties again, I glared at him through gritted teeth, then bit his arm fiercely, a childhood habit, when unable to best him in combat. He stared at me in bewilderment. In the next moment, he smiled and pulled me tightly into his embrace. After Adrian and I shared the morning meal, I wiped my mouth with his sleeve and looked toward him. Tell me what transpired during these 5 years. Remarkably, after truly confirming my memory loss, Adrian's mood improved considerably. He no longer maintained that perpetually gloomy expression, as though I owed him a fortune. Now his lips curved in a subtle smile, restoring his former proud princely demeanor. His expression remained as insufferably arrogant as before, his speech equally irksome. In summary, you fell desperately in love with me, pursuing me relentlessly, blocking the Eastern Palace gates daily to declare your passionate feelings, claiming you could not live without me, threatening otherwise to wait at the palace gates like your faithful hound. Unable to withstand your persistence, I reluctantly acquiesced. Father Emperor then decreed our marriage. A year after our wedding, he abdicated in my favor and departed with Mother Empress for a life of leisure. We subsequently had these 2 children. Our son's pet name is Timothy, formerly named Adrian Theodore, and our daughter's pet name is Rosalind, formerly named Adrian Rosemary. Yet you grew fickle, failing to treasure what you had gained. These pet names are rather foolish, resembling those one might give a faithful hound. I commented upon hearing the children's nicknames. I said the very same thing then, yet you insisted upon these names. He spoke while theatrically wiping non-existent tears, accompanied by the background chorus of 2 children calling for mother. Witnessing this scene, I was thoroughly exasperated. You might as well tell me my mind is truly damaged. How could I possibly have begged and pleaded to be with you? Upon hearing this, Adrian's face darkened considerably. He thrust both children into my arms, declaring, Then explain how these two came to exist. Adrian actually used the children as evidence. Observe Timothy's eyes, how they resemble yours. Never mind, Timothy, look at Rosalind, practically carved from your very likeness. After much consideration, I blurted out, "Oh my, Adrian, you cunning fox. You must have forced yourself upon me." Upon hearing this, the man's expression turned rather unpleasant. I hastily amended, "Come now, Adrian, I jest." After a long moment, Adrian's eyes churned with emotions I could not decipher, though his gaze gradually intensified. "Actually, you forced yourself upon me. Impossible. Absolutely impossible." I was so startled I knocked over my meal, instinctively protesting. Adrian glanced at me coolly. "Have you evidence to the contrary?" "I have none." "Then that settles the matter. The witnesses are myself, the victim, and these two children." I fell silent. Truthfully, I had never imagined I would unite with this adversary. Were it not for the irrefutable evidence of two children, I would never believe such a thing. 5 years prior, I had only just reached 16. The entire capital gossiped about my destiny as Adrian's consort, our childhood bond making it inevitable. After all, the tales of the general's legitimate daughter and the crown prince as childhood sweethearts had sold countless copies in the markets. Those who favored our pairing could join hands and circle the moat 6 times over. Yet that very evening, before the palace banquet commenced, Adrian and I engaged in fierce verbal warfare. I accused him of arrogance and perpetual sourness, claiming only devoted hounds like his pet would fancy him. He retorted that my rainbow butterfly skirt made me appear like a preening peacock, vainly seeking attention, only fawning. Short-sighted foxes like my pet would circle around me. My faithful hound was a dog I had rescued from the Western market, now serving as gatekeeper at the Eastern Palace. His little white fox was a kit he had captured during a hunt at the Eastern stables, now my beloved companion at the general's manor. Our sharp exchanges did not cease when the banquet began. I exposed his childhood fear of darkness, how he had become lost in the palace corridors one night and cried in my arms. He revealed my pretense of ladylike deportment with mincing steps that resulted in frequent tumbles. We bickered throughout the entire evening. Consequently, His Majesty and the others regarded us with strange expressions, immediately deciding to decree our betrothal. Upon hearing of the betrothal, I prostrated myself before His Majesty, kowtowing frantically. "Uncle William, even if every man in the world became devoted as a faithful hound, I would never love Adrian. Being with him would mean a lifetime of torment." Hearing my words, Adrian promptly followed. "Father Emperor, rather than marry her, I would prefer monastic life." Thus the betrothal matter was abandoned, after which we continued arguing over our mutual disgust until dawn. 5 years later, we argued several more rounds over who had forced whom. After Adrian had his aunt escort the children away, he carried me back to the inner chambers. The following day, as light touched the horizon's edge, I lay exhausted and drowsy upon the bed. Adrian, meanwhile, donned fresh imperial yellow robes and crown, preparing radiantly for morning court. I slowly extended one finger toward him, my voice even hoarser than the day I fell into the water. "Adrian, you fox, it must have been, certainly was you, who forced me." Adrian adjusted his court attire, regarding me with a brilliant smile that dispelled the previous day's gloom. Inexplicably, his smile filled me with joy, though I could not fathom why. Perhaps I was simply pleased to discover that my life 5 years hence seemed quite satisfactory. My thoughts wandered as a young palace maid approached to attend my grooming. Gazing into the mirror, I was absolutely thunderstruck. Adrian belonged to the canine family. My neck and arms were in complete disarray. "Adrian, you beast." Observing the impeccably dressed man before me, I suppressed the urge to strike him. Seeing my near explosion of rage, Adrian took the brush from the maid's hands, gently combing my hair stroke by stroke. What troubles you? Last night you're calling the previous night's abandon. Was this truly adult life? Silence. Seeing my blush extend to my ears, he grinned so broadly his smile nearly reached them. He prepared cheerfully for court. Adrian carefully arranged my hair down around my shoulders. I depart for court. When business concludes, I shall return for further discussion. I refuse, I immediately protested. Ignoring my objections, he pinched my cheek and departed. I watched Adrian leave through gritted teeth. As a child, Adrian constantly tormented me. Now as an adult, he continued his torments. I knew marrying him would mean endless persecution. Alas, life's unpredictability. A young maiden suddenly finding herself wed with 2 children left me utterly bewildered. I endeavored desperately to adapt to life 5 years hence. According to the palace maid Rose, my parents had departed with the retired emperor and empress for distant travels. My brother had relocated his entire household to the frontier, leaving the general's manor empty. Though I had always known my parents possessed such carefree dispositions, learning that not a single relative remained in the capital created an unsettling sense of alienation. Rose also informed me that throughout these years, I remained the only woman in the harem. No wonder Adrian vented his frustrations solely upon me. I decided to visit the Eastern Palace today to see my 2 unexpected children, Timothy and Rosalind. Timothy, the elder brother, possessed a somewhat proud and boastful nature, remarkably similar to young Adrian. Rosalind, the younger sister, was lively and adorable. Delicately carved like a precious kitten, perfectly resembling my childhood self. They each took one of my hands, which I grasped carefully, fearing I might cause them pain. Rosalind nestled into my arms. Mother has never embraced me so tenderly before. Today's mother feels wonderfully gentle. Might you continue this way? Rosalind asks for little, perhaps just one such embrace each day. Seeing this precious child before me, I wondered what my past self had done to make these 2 little ones so starved for my affection. Yet the previous 5 years' memories remained shrouded in thick fog. I could discern nothing clearly, and I understood even less about how to navigate future days. I remained with the 2 little treasures until evening mealtime. After dining with them, Rosalind ran over to embrace me, pressing her round little face against mine, nuzzling affectionately. Mother, will you sleep with Rosalind tonight? I planted a kiss upon Rosalind's cheek with a loud smack. Certainly, Mother shall hold you while you sleep. The little one, hearing my promise, contentedly curled into my arms. Timothy, sitting nearby, appeared particularly aloof, though maintaining his serious elder brother facade. He was ultimately just a small child whose expectations and thoughts remained poorly concealed. Would Timothy like Mother's company tonight as well? I asked patiently. Upon hearing this, Timothy's face immediately reddened. After I kissed him as well, I gathered him into my embrace. He shyly shrank within my arms, proudly declaring he consented to sleep alongside me merely to accompany his sister. I prepared to take them for evening ablutions when someone suddenly pulled me into an embrace, kissing my forehead. I started, looking up to discover Adrian, whom I had apparently neglected. My face immediately flushed as I hastily pushed him away. Adrian, mind yourself. The children are present. Far from showing embarrassment at my words, Adrian actually kissed my cheek again. Esteemed Empress, we are husband and wife. Our affection creates a warm family atmosphere for the children. Moreover, accompanying me remains among your imperial duties. I replied through gritted teeth. Your silver tongue twists all logic. Adrian's eyes sparkled with mirth, his lips nearly reaching his ears. Does the Empress feel wronged by my kisses? You are quite welcome to reciprocate. I certainly would not object. Observing that insufferably smug expression, I longed to bite him. Our eyes met. Seeing those shimmering depths, roiling with dark emotions identical to the previous night, this scoundrel intended to torment me again. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. The same person with the same insufferable demeanor. Reflecting upon this, I actually grew calmer. 5 years hence seemed less terrifying after all. At least this rogue remained unchanged, still requiring discipline. Did you not once declare you would prefer monastic vows to marrying me? During Adrian's solitary evening meal, I sat nearby questioning him. Indeed, why do you ask? Then why did you ultimately marry me? I asked instinctively, but seeing the man's glance and suddenly remembering I could no longer best him in arguments, I quickly amended my words. Did you belatedly realize you had fallen deeply in love with me? 5 years ago, such a disadvantaged state before my sworn enemy Adrian was entirely unprecedented. I felt somewhat unwilling to accept that I had simply entered the palace thus. Do I possess no personal ideals and ambitions? Why did I not become a female general? From the moment I could walk, I delighted in martial pursuits. My spear techniques had gained modest recognition within the military. Though unable to defeat Adrian, my constitution was excellent. Surely I need not have settled for mere empress duties. You had none, your aspirations changed, Adrian replied coolly. Changed to what? The man suddenly raised his head, regarding me with deep emotion, while stating without the slightest blush, me. I initially stood stunned for several seconds. Upon grasping his meaning, I immediately demonstrated some of my childhood martial skills upon his person. That night, the Eastern Palace inner chamber's bed proved somewhat crowded. I held Rosalind and Timothy while Adrian slept alone at the bed's edge. When I told him to leave, he claimed the arrangement fostered familial bonds and brazenly remained, refusing departure. You believe your father will appreciate this 5-phoenix sunrise spear, do you not? Mother, are you certain you do not simply fancy it yourself? Your eyes positively gleam with gold. Timothy's tone carried a note of helplessness. I fondled the long spear in my hands with evident delight. Hearing his comment, I immediately replied with righteous indignation. Nonsense. Your father desires it, which is why he sent me to make this selection. Timothy, the little fellow, listened with complete bewilderment. Just as I raised the spear tip to demonstrate to my child what constituted spear technique flowing like a swimming dragon, I accidentally toppled a nearby weapons rack. As I instinctively moved to shield Timothy beside me, a lean figure stepped forward to block whatever fell behind me. He wore the black garments of the Shadow Guard, his face concealed by a dark mask that revealed only a pair of keen eyes. After a series of clattering sounds, I surveyed the chaos on the floor and hastily thanked this man. Unexpectedly, he moved even closer to me. Sarah, did you not promise to depart this place with me? Hearing these words, I was utterly baffled. Friend, who might you be? The man's sharp gaze held an oddly tender quality. Rather than answering my question, he spoke to himself. Sarah, have you truly lost your memory, or is this merely expedient pretense? Standing thus created considerable awkwardness between us. At the same moment, Timothy, having recovered his wits, tugged at my sleeve. Mother. Sensing something amiss, the strange man grasped my hand, saying, Tonight at the hour of the pig, I shall await you at our usual place. Having spoken, he vanished without a trace, leaving me completely mystified. Heavens above, had I not only married my sworn enemy Adrian and borne him 2 children 5 years hence, but also placed a most verdant hat upon his head. I believed there must be some misunderstanding. Though I had lost my memory, I remained confident in my character. Surely I would never be one to dally with other men. Unless Adrian had grievously wounded me, and I sought such measures purely for revenge. I returned to Harmony Palace with Timothy. While Adrian remained absent, I searched every corner of Harmony Palace, including my dowry possessions, I discovered only a jade pendant carved with the character for noble and a locked sandalwood box. Beyond these items, I found no additional information concerning the mysterious man. When I inquired about the pendant's origins and the locked box, the palace maids and servants claimed complete ignorance. Further questioning reduced them to trembling quails upon the floor. I could not fathom how I might be connected to a shadow guard. The shadow guards had traditionally served as protectors of emperors and crown princes throughout the dynasties. Regarding the locked sandalwood box, Rose explained it had been brought from the general's manor, with the key remaining in His Majesty's possession, never to be opened. Thus I constructed the complete scenario in my mind. Most likely after marrying Adrian, he had revealed his true despicable nature through newfound indifference. Not only did he seek to bind me through children, forcing me to abandon my dreams of becoming a female general and confining me as a bitter palace woman, but he had also secured my valuable dowry possessions, denying me any funds and imprisoning me within the palace depths. Consequently, I had grown melancholy and sought comfort with a handsome young shadow guard to spite Adrian. I had even planned to flee with this guard. Only my accidental fall into the lotus pond and sudden memory loss had disrupted these plans. That evening, I sat with narrowed eyes upon the imperial couch. When Adrian returned from handling state affairs and noticed my expression, he inquired, "Did you encounter someone you should not have today?" Oh, shifting blame immediately, I stood at once to confront him. "Adrian, you fox, have you assigned spies to follow me?" Seeing my anger, Adrian's tone softened unusually. "Merely bodyguards. You suffered an incident previously, and I worry, excuses pure fabrication." I extended my hand. "Give me the key to the sandalwood box. Those contents belong to me." The moment I mentioned the sandalwood box, Adrian's expression transformed dramatically. "Serafina, Timothy, and Rosalind are present. Do not frighten them." Then guided me into the inner chambers. I expected him to provide explanations once we entered. Instead, the moment we crossed the threshold, the man pressed me against the couch. With a click, the observant palace maids outside closed the doors. Only several dim palace lanterns illuminated the inner chambers, surrounded by profound silence. I could even hear my heart's thunderous beating. Adrian's large hand caressed my face, his gaze containing absolute darkness. He lowered his head, slowly approaching my face. So close, I thought he would kiss me. Yet this scoundrel did not. Instead, he bit my cheek. "Serafina, cease attempting to use any matter to separate us." The proximity was overwhelming. I clearly observed the madness churning in his eyes' depths. I realized this man's condition was peculiar, clearly imperious yet somehow fragile. Intending harsh words, seeing his expression that seemed ready to shatter, my tone involuntarily softened. "Yet you cannot use your imperial status to confine me in the palace depths with children as bonds, preventing me from achieving my ambitions as a female general while withholding my funds, forcing me into the role of a careworn palace woman." These words gave Adrian pause, followed by laughter. "You truly possess no conscience, esteemed empress. Which palace matter requires your concern? Cooking and cleaning are handled by maids and servants. Garden visits include sedan chair transport. The children have their governess for care and tutors for education, and no other women create disturbances in the harem. Withholding your funds. Do not the treasury keys rest within your dressing case? Your daily activities consist solely of admiring flowers, teasing birds, and feeding fish. How does this constitute being a careworn palace woman? Regarding your generalship, you yourself developed psychological barriers concerning such matters. These past 5 years, witnessing weapons caused you pain. I simply wished to spare you suffering. As for that box, open it if you desire. I shall have the key delivered tomorrow." The man's voice carried a low, hoarse quality that seemed almost seductive. I lowered my head, unwilling to let him observe my burning cheeks. "Oh, forgive me, I misunderstood you." Yet Adrian apparently had no intention of releasing me. He kissed my ear softly, his whispered voice husky as though tempting me. "Serafina, please do not leave me again. Whatever you desire I can provide. I beg you, remain by my side." These few confessions instantly caused my face to explode with crimson. I truly wished to bury my head beneath the covers. I could never have imagined how the Adrian of 5 years past, who maintained perpetual coldness toward me, speaking only to deliver cutting remarks, had evolved into someone capable of such overwhelming charm. The man drew even closer, his voice thoroughly suggestive, embarrassed. "I am not." I buried my head, my voice muffled. "Even your neck burns crimson." The man's voice clearly carried amusement. This immediately provoked my mortified fury as I raised my head to glare at him. He concluded with a smile. "My Serafina actually experiences embarrassment." Shame made me clench my fists, preparing to strike him, when suddenly a dart flew through the chamber, embedding itself in a pillar with a sharp whistle. A note was attached to the dart. Adrian retrieved the paper. Though he attempted to shield it from my view, I still glimpsed the bold black characters clearly written. "Sarah, I continue waiting for you. Have you forgotten what he did to you? You are my true wife." I stared fixedly at Adrian, hoping he would provide some explanation, yet he remained silent throughout. As night deepened, his shadowed expression remained hidden in darkness, impossible to decipher. We maintained this standoff for an unknown duration. Just as I prepared to inquire, Adrian finally spoke. "No need for excessive worry. I shall have him located. Tomorrow I shall send someone with the box key." Having spoken, he turned and departed, offering no opportunity for questions. Oh, my everything had returned to square one. Life 5 years hence not only remained unadapted, but left me feeling every step was treacherous. I resolved to investigate this matter myself. Until now, Adrian had claimed only that the man was an assassin. Revealing nothing else, I had assumed he attached little importance to this incident, like someone utterly unconcerned about the mysterious man. But the following day's behavior demonstrated that Adrian was far from as composed as he appeared. Assassin Hunt, Day 1. Adrian claimed protective concerns as justification for remaining in Harmony Palace, refusing departure and preferring to sleep upon the imperial couch all night. Assassin Hunt, Day 2. Adrian brought me beloved weapons. The 5 Phoenix Sunrise Spear and the Purple Star 7 Spear. Assassin Hunt, Day 3. Adrian escorted me to the training grounds, claiming he had organized a spear unit for my entertainment during idle moments. Day 4. Day 5. Only then did I comprehend. This imperious fox Adrian was actually courting my favor. The House of Adrian had stood for over a century. Adrian's ascension not only strengthened this dynasty, but infused it with greater vitality. 5 years prior, neighboring Rainbow Kingdom still cast covetous glances toward our nation, frequently initiating conflicts. Now Rainbow Kingdom posed no significant threat to our realm. Rose had mentioned that Rainbow Kingdom recently sent diplomatic missions seeking friendship. Adrian's occasional gifts had become among my few pleasures within the palace. Today I anticipated what Adrian might prepare when he arrived empty-handed at Harmony Palace. Upon entry, I examined him carefully, thinking he might conceal surprises behind his back, yet truly, nothing materialized. I assumed his canine-like courting behavior had concluded. Unexpectedly, after that evening's meal, he brazenly squeezed onto my bed. Darkness has fallen. Should the Empress not accompany me, offering some sweetness? Before I could punch him away, the 2 small figures on the bed caught their shameless father red-handed. Father Emperor fears darkness at such an age. How embarrassing. Rosalind's soft voice chimed. Timothy, as elder brother, delivered an apt supplementary blow. Father Emperor's behavior resembles cute, coquettish pleading. Rarely witnessing Adrian suffer such losses from his juniors. His face cycling through red and black. I charitably your father has feared darkness since childhood. Once, lost in the palace corridors after nightfall, he clung to me in tears. Do not mock him further. Observing this 8-foot-tall man sitting somewhat constrained at the bed's edge, I held Rosalind while glancing at him. Very well, Adrian. Come up. However, you must still sleep at the bed's edge tonight. Adrian proved even more shameless than anticipated. He immediately had the governess escort Timothy and Rosalind to the side chambers, hearing the children's soft calls for mother while Adrian encircled me upon the bed created considerable discomfort. Adrian, what exactly do you intend? Do you seek to make me forget that man's written words? Have you committed some harmful act against me? These past days I had investigated throughout the palace, yet the scope proved too vast, with everything appearing normal. I had even sent letters to distant family members inquiring about past events, but received no responses. Moreover, I had lost contact with family for nearly 5 years. My brother's frontier relocation had also occurred 5 years ago, precisely when Adrian and I wed. As he claimed, I seemed to suffer psychological barriers, experiencing headaches when attempting to recall the past. What exactly did you do? Did you exile the general's manor to coerce my marriage? The one who issued threats was you. Adrian immediately refuted upon hearing this, his reaction suggesting I might threaten to leave again. Yet, if I truly threatened to leave, why would he not permit my departure? This forceful attitude bore no resemblance to the carefree Adrian of my memory. Adrian lowered his head, apparently restraining certain emotions, expecting him to reveal the truth. I waited patiently. When he raised his head again, his face reddened foolishly. Do you truly wish to know? I nodded. Adrian continued. Actually, you loved me without self-awareness. After refusing Father Emperor's betrothal decree, you remained melancholy, eventually orchestrating my intoxication. Hearing this nearly shocked me senseless. Following our marriage and my ascension, perhaps my excessive duties led you to feel neglected, prompting you to seek diversion with a young guard. This fault lies with me. I shall not repeat such behavior. Yet, as we remain husband and wife with 2 children, you must not seek other men. These words left my world in chaos. Countless threads tangling within my mind. Yet suddenly, the question I had long wished to ask but dared not voice burst forth. Do you actually love me? Serafina, I love you. Now the crimson-faced person was myself. Though I had adapted to life 5 years hence for some time, Adrian's direct approach remained overwhelming. Soon came the farewell banquet the realm hosted for Rainbow Kingdom's envoys. Initially, Adrian absolutely refused my attendance, claiming my mind had not fully recovered and such events would prove exhausting. Yet through my coquetry, pleading, and repeated assurances, he ultimately brought me to the gathering. The feast proceeded as usual in Clarity Palace, accompanied by Rosalind. I gazed upward at the yellow glazed tiles of the double-eaved corridors. Upon reaching my seat, preparations had already commenced, though the clear, melodious strings and bamboo instruments played beautifully. Years of such music had grown tedious. I yawned involuntarily. Seeing my fatigue, Adrian grasped my hand beneath the table, inquiring whether he should escort me and the children back to Harmony Palace for rest. Observing this tedious gathering, I prepared to agree when someone suddenly rose from below, proposing a toast. May the Empress live 10,000 years. This prince's cup surely your majesty would not refuse. Looking closely. Oh my, those keen eyes belonged to the shadow guard who had shielded me from weapons that day. Yet today he had transformed into a Rainbow Kingdom prince. I never imagined my chosen paramour was actually an enemy nation's prince. I anticipated that Shadow Guard's persistence after being stood up, yet never expected such brazen provocation from a clandestine lover. He maintained his previous unremarkable appearance. Black broad-sleeved python robes and a silver half-mask revealing only his handsome features. As a prince, his bearing proved impressive, his partial visage undeniably attractive. Yet recalling Adrian's description of him as my illicit lover eliminated any improper thoughts. Your Majesty, do you refuse my offer, or has someone instructed your refusal? Before I could respond, the man stared directly at Adrian beside me. Seeing their exchanged glances spark like fire, I chose strategic retreat. This palace has been indisposed recently and cannot accept this cup. May everyone enjoy themselves. This palace truly feels unwell and must withdraw. Having spoken, I departed with Rosalind. I dismissed the accompanying servants, having the governess escort Rosalind to Harmony Palace while I wandered aimlessly through the imperial gardens. Contemplating the Rainbow Kingdom prince's ardent gaze and the ambiguous note had I truly cuckolded Adrian. As I suffered this headache, suddenly a hand pulled me into an embrace. Looking up, I discovered the Rainbow Kingdom prince. Startled, I immediately pushed him away, observing the shock in his eyes. Apparently, he had frequently embraced me thus previously. As he prepared further advances, I hastily retreated, distancing myself considerably. Your Highness, destroying others' families ultimately proves inadvisable. I, as the realm's empress, Adrian remains my legitimate husband. Whatever transpired previously now holds no significance. My attendants will return shortly. You should depart immediately. Mentioning husband caused inexplicable embarrassment, yet this man mockingly repeated, Adrian, your husband? While I am a Rainbow Kingdom prince, you once called me Elias. Sarah, you previously detested being addressed as Empress. What has happened to you? Has that despicable Adrian administered some substance? I could only follow his lead, saying, I have lost my memory. Elias angrily removed his mask, revealing his true appearance handsome and refined, though a scar marked his left cheek, lending his expression a hint of madness. Only then did Elias understand. Sarah, Adrian caused your suffering. Your parents' distant travels and your brother's frontier exile. Adrian orchestrated everything. Remaining here means never reuniting with family. Impossible. Uncle William, and they never committed injustice against my family. I immediately refuted. Only because Rainbow Kingdom threatened war then. The royal family required your Serafina family's influence to quell conflicts. How else do you explain these years of silence from your parents? This information proved overwhelming, yet struck me deeply. Indeed, I had not seen my parents for 5 years, not even a single letter. I fell silent while Elias continued his assault. Similarly, Adrian never truly loved you. When the old emperor decreed your betrothal and you both refused, border conflicts intensified. You even joined your father's campaign. In your silver armor astride a chestnut horse, I spotted you instantly on the battlefield. I regarded this somewhat unfamiliar face. Have I met you before? Certainly. We battled throughout one night at Heaven's Thread Gorge. You said if not for national boundaries between us, we would become the closest friends. Afterward, I petitioned Father Emperor, if you married me, our nations could achieve permanent peace through matrimonial alliance. Father agreed, communicating with your old emperor, who also consented. I came to your nation seeking your hand. During that period, you showed me your capital's lanterns and accompanied me hunting in the suburbs. You declared your love and willingness to become my wife. Hearing this, I sensed these memories indeed existed within my mind, struggling to surface. Then, why am I now Adrian's wife? Because Adrian could not relinquish you. He drugged you, resulting in your pregnancy. Having suffered battlefield injuries, leaving you physically weakened and unable to terminate the pregnancy, you ultimately married him out of necessity. He then attempted to eliminate me. This facial scar remains from that time. Moreover, you personally told me Adrian preferred monastic vows to marriage with you. Instantly, my head felt ready to explode. Until Elias's final statement, my heart frantically sought excuses for Adrian, as his description bore no resemblance to the man I had come to know. My mind went blank. Who would love that sword-wielding Serafina? Rather than marry her, I prefer monastic life. Adrian and I, childhood companions from birth, had always interacted thus. When he delivered one cutting remark, I responded with 10. During our adolescent awakening, we were likely each other's least preferred types. Yet despite mutual dislike, we had married and born 2 children. I broke into cold sweat, suddenly realizing Elias might speak truth. Adrian was indeed capable of any deed when driven by wounded pride. I stood frozen, unable to move. Elias approached and embraced me. "Sarah, all will be well. I shall remain with you forever." At that moment, Adrian arrived to witness our embrace. Prince Elias, entering my imperial gardens and embracing my wife. I am curious whether this represents your nation's hospitality customs. Adrian's voice carried the chill of ice shards. "Do you threaten me?" Elias responded defiantly, yet Adrian's reply left him ashen-faced. "I merely fear Rainbow Kingdom's renewed aggression would result in devastating defeat." After prolonged standoff, Elias conceded first. He whispered in my ear, "Should you wish to leave here, I shall fight him to the end to take you away." Having spoken, he departed. Momentarily, only Adrian and I remained in the Imperial Gardens. After extended mutual silence, as I prepared to pass him, he nervously grasped my arm. "Where do you go?" This massive information shock left my already dulled mind even more sluggish. "To check on the children," I replied calmly. Adrian maintained his grip, struggling to speak with a hoarse voice, as though restraining some powerful emotion. "Were you truly the Serafina of 5 years past, you would trust me rather than believe his lies." Adrian was unaware that nervousness made his right hand tremble uncontrollably. His words held truth. As the Serafina of 5 years past, my mind desperately sought hundreds, thousands, countless reasons to exonerate him. I knew not his thoughts, yet holding Timothy throughout that sleepless night, I pondered much. Understanding I could not accept Elias's one-sided account, I must investigate these matters myself. Within the palace, I could only hear what Adrian wished me to hear. Initially, Adrian sought discussion, yet seeing my firmly closed palace doors refusing audiences, he ceased such attempts. Perhaps having grown frustrated with our relationship, he made no further approaches. Thus, I secretly departed the palace through the dog hole my childhood companion had left behind, bidding farewell only to Timothy and Rosalind. I rode first to the general's manor, entering the old residence covertly, though uninhabited. Evidence suggested monthly cleaning maintenance. Opening my former bedchamber door, I began searching for my diary, soon discovering it within a hidden compartment beneath my bed. The diary showed considerable age. I opened it and began reading. My youthful obsessions had become reality in this moment. 5 years ago, I had briefly served as a female general and truly loved someone, the very Elias I had met through battlefield combat. Following the refused betrothal, everyone claimed Adrian harbored feelings for another, viewing me as merely a sword-wielding woman beneath his notice. After refusing the betrothal, I had resolutely joined my father's campaign, achieving military distinction that attracted the enemy prince's devotion. Yet Adrian's wounded pride led him to orchestrate our fateful night together, resulting in pregnancy. This caused severe deterioration in my relationship with Adrian. Our previous mutual taunting transformed into genuine mutual torment. as an involved party lacking perspective that outside observers possessed. Having experienced these events without their emotional nuances left me unnaturally detached. I disagreed with some of my past assessments, for Adrian spoke truly 5 years prior. Adrian and Serafina had always been each other's strongest support. Therefore, I must investigate beginning from Adrian's alleged orchestration of our encounter. I sought our mutual friend Lucas, mentioned in my diary during a palace banquet where I overheard his conversation with Adrian. Why not confess if you love her? She is too timid. I fear frightening her away. Shall I assist you, brother? I possess something beneficial. Begone. Subsequently, following my fateful night with Adrian, I had concluded he could not relinquish me. Lucas appeared utterly flustered upon seeing me. Your Majesty the Empress. Ignoring this address, I had him sit first. I come with one question only: did you truly provide Adrian with special substances that night? Hearing this, Lucas startled, exclaiming urgently, Bloody hell, Serafina. Since you ask your friend directly, can you not trust me? I never gave Adrian anything. Having grown up together, do you not know his character? Hearing his continued words, my heart, which had settled, rose again. That Rainbow Kingdom bastard drugged you. When you were affected, Adrian sacrificed himself to save you. Serafina, you cannot abandon him now. Enough, close your mouth. I blushed, silencing him. I recall him mentioning a timid girl he fancied. Do you have clues? Adrian never courted any young ladies besides constantly bickering with you daily. No household daughter received special treatment. Oh yes, I remember Adrian writing numerous letters then, though none were ever sent. All stored away. Frankly, we all believed Adrian loved you, yet you refused to believe it. Not only did you refuse the betrothal but joined the campaign, then became infatuated with that Rainbow Kingdom prince. Seeing the final mystery's resolution approaching, I ignored his rambling and departed directly. Through the dog hole, I returned to the palace. I rushed back to Harmony Palace, using Adrian's key to open the sandalwood box. My hands trembled as I opened it, fearing it contained what I suspected, making our 5 years of mutual torment an absurd joke, yet dreading it might not. Opening the box revealed hundreds of thick letters. Are you simple-minded? Cannot you see, I love you? They claim this crown prince is the world's most intelligent and handsome. Why do you not love me? Why not? Why not? Utterly frustrated. Why did this fool refuse Father Emperor's betrothal? I requested this of Father you have angered me into monasticism, Serafina. You shall have no husband. Serafina avoided me by joining the battlefield. Day 1 without her presence. I miss her. Day 2 without Serafina. I miss her. Serafina has not returned to the capital, yet the enemy emperor's marriage proposal arrived first. That old man's son wishes to marry Serafina. Impossible. Do not even dream of it. Serafina returned to the capital, appearing much thinner. I heard she was injured. I secretly went to see her. She spent the entire time watching that ugly Rainbow Kingdom prince without noticing me. Furious. Serafina, I shall marry you. You can only be my wife. Fearing I might frighten you away, I never confessed, foolish girl. Serafina, my midnight dreams are filled with you. I planned to rest well tonight, then speak clearly with Adrian tomorrow, resolving everything for a fresh beginning. Imagination proved beautiful, reality cruel. When I opened my eyes in Harmony Palace, I found myself in the Eastern Palace's side chambers. Oh my, before I could speak with Adrian, he had already descended into madness. The side chambers lay in complete darkness save for sparse flickering flames. This place had been avoided even during childhood hide-and-seek, yet Adrian had confined me here. Adrian stood at some distance from me. Upon awakening and raising my hand, I heard the collision of iron chains. Adrian approached with chains in hand. Again, resembling the madman I first encountered, like my pet wolf, ready to pounce when agitated. His imperial yellow dragon robes appeared disheveled, perhaps unchanged for days, with faint shadows beneath his eyes. The man sat beside me, raising his hand to caress my cheek gently. Seraphina, you have always belonged to me. Yet why do blind fools persistently attempt to steal you from my side? I observed him silently. He suddenly leaned in to kiss my lips, biting me upon withdrawal. Naturally, I would not spare him. Within moments, I had reversed our positions, pinning him beneath me. Adrian, do you wish to remain with me forever? Hearing my words, his pupils trembled, one hand instinctively supporting my waist. I rattled the chains on my hands, then encircled his wrists with them. Instantly, I pressed against him at intimate proximity, our breaths intermingling. Do you not desire this with me? As my soft, seductive voice continued, Adrian's breathing grew increasingly rapid. I traced my fingertip lightly along his belt. Release me. I shall never leave again. I promise to remain with you always. I am your wife. At that moment, the man beneath me had a wildly beating heart. Yet soon, Adrian realized a new problem. Wait, you, how have you become so? My arms remained around his neck as I asked. I read all the letters in the box. Oh, I am a timid fool. Then what are you? A bold idiot. Has anyone mentioned that only fawning foxes like my pet would fancy me? Woo. Adrian immediately whimpered twice in a falsetto, imitating my fox. I laughed despite myself, asking the final question. You have only ever loved me, have you not, Adrian my fox? Only ever you, foolish Seraphina.